Okay. Yep. Okay. Let's go in. We'll just bow in and get started. Hey. Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Okay, good. So we're going to focus today on movement and mobility. So my aim really is to cover kind of two areas, which is the transitions from Kihon to nagare, and also look at this idea of freedom of movement and kind of ease of movement. So being able to just move. So we'll be looking, especially in the basics, going from kind of stillness into movement and then taking that into nagare forms. So we'll just start a little bit of loosening, but we'll work a little bit on kind of centering. So just work with the vertical line. Mobilizing body. Work also, just experiment a little bit with the hands as well, with the arms. So just working on a vertical line, raising up through the structure. Let's go the whole body, raising up, raising down. Now see, if we're looking at centering and balancing, you're looking at two forces. So try and feel the vertical line, both the up and the down, working together. So keep a nice sense of extension through the back. And also just checking in on the body. Try and keep everything open, nice and free. And just play with different qualities of movements. Different movements with the arms, raising up, coming down. Just coming down through the structure, raising up. Just there. Just exploring a little bit. Also experiment with the feet and the base, so different bases. Obviously, if you're wider, you've got a little bit different ranges of motion. If you come through it, just play with it, coming up through the structure and sinking down through it. Just exploring a little bit. That's good. That's good. Okay, we'll do the same thing, work in the front and the back of the body. So again, if you think about balancing the structure, just play here. It's a little bit more about the balance. So just feel the body comes out of structure, front and back. There. And first, you just really feel what's happening to the body as you come out and back into structure. So just play a little bit here with rocking out, rocking back in, and then letting the body just settle in. Just really notice the different feeling in the whole structure between being out of balance, kind of clinging onto the structure, and just settling in to the ground. And then just play within these. You can bring the hands into it a little bit. Through, back. And really just feel this kind of interplay between the front and the back. If you come into the front, really feel what's happening in the back. And a little bit to the back, what's happening in the front of the body. That's good, good, good. That's it. Nice, nice. Again, also play with different stances, different widths in the feet. And then just play with mixing these two together. So you've got the raising up, front vertical and the front and back. Yeah. Just playing with it. Again, just feel as you come in out, letting the body every so often just settle down. Just let the body sink into the ground, really feel the center and the ground. And then just play with it there. And just explore, let the body go all the way to the ground. Really play with also coming out of balance. So you got a really good contrast between being in balance and out of balance. Very good. That's. Good, and then we'll explore the side lines, so kind of lateral lines to the body. Just explore. And again, try and include the feeling of both sides in the body as you go. So the feeling of being open, grounded, extended. And just explore also the arms. Got all this movement to the side of the body. Just explore it a little bit. And so the other thing you're exploring now is really like shifting the weight across the feet. So as you go across, just exploring the weight shift across the body. And exploring it out of balance and a little bit more in balance. Just really think about mobilizing the spine here. Nice. And a really kind of supple spine. That's good. Good. Very nice. Okay, we'll go to the rotation movement. So just again, just play with them. Got really subtle rotations through the structure. In this case, you're really moving down much closer to the center of the body. So really working the hips. Just letting the rest of the structure, especially the shoulders, really keep a sense of width through it. We let the whole structure of the upper body just go with that movement. Just play with increasing the rotation. And also playing a little bit with the arms, letting the arms go with the stretch. Trying to keep them loose. Not too much tension. And here really play with the feet as well, so lifting the feet off the ground, letting the feet really move through it, so let the whole body go with it. And you get a sense of the hip carriage, really going with the base. So really allowing the base to really be underneath the body as you go. And just starting to explore a little bit of movement. Really keep a sense of the whole body moving as one piece. But really moving around the supple axis through the body. That's it. Good, good, good. Okay, good. And the other thing we'll play with today, also, that's important to movement mobility is range of motion. So really play, especially here, you've got a lot of range of motion in the hips. So really explore the hips so that you can really feel how much movement you've got. Really, really open, move. A lot of the nagare work we do later is really reliant on the hips being able to really mobilize without holding tension through it. So just focus a little bit on the lower body and just listen to the knees especially. You don't want to twist against them, so really let the hips do the work and let the knees just act as a hinge. Yeah, let's play a little bit here. So exploring a little bit of a deeper stance coming down. Yes. So, great. Nice. Thank you. Right. Good. And then the last kind of direction you can work in is opening and closing the structure. So it usually comes into this kind of, we work with it in a wave, but just to explore in this case, you really got the sense of closing the structure out, everything out, and then everything open. You can also think about compression and extension out. Just again, just explore it a little bit, work with different stances, really focusing on opening out, closing the structure. Just keep everything nice and fluid. And try to get a sense here, you're really working from the core of the body out. So think about every movement being motivated from the center. Whatever you do. Really get a sense of the center of the body. And all of these directions now starting to really come into balance. So the in-out really relies on all the other directions being in place. Again, play with the base, go nice and wide, opening the movements out. Okay, good. Yeah, and again, think about, if you think about, in this case, quite crude, but think about opening and closing really as working together as well. So what you don't want to do with the closing movements is really close everything down so that everything kind of has this feeling being crunched. And then the open is kind of loose open. So get the sense that as you close the body, you're also opening the back of the body. So feel that the two are kind of working together. If you think about like a door, one side's open, one side closing. So think about, as you do these, also really including the whole structure through it. The classic one of like whirl 𝗘𝗍𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗃𝗍 you want to keep the extension, keep the opening without coming into a kind of crunching position. So just play with these kind of movements, a little bit cocky work. Just really think about opening, closing, really functioning together. So one side of the body is closing. So this classic sword cut is really working on the same kind of principle, opening the structure out to the front and then closing it. Opening, closing. That's good. Okie dokie, right, take a bokken. Right, good. Okay, great. So just play a little bit here with the bokken. Similar idea, just work on moving the body with the bokken and just play with it as a weight in front of the body. So really now you can work with it in the kind of classic kamae position. Just work with having the weight of the bokken in front, working with extension, and I'm really trying to balance the feeling of having this weighted object in front of the body. So what you'll notice straight away is the need to really have a sense of the back of the body, all the weight's in the front, and really the ground. So these really become the kind of two primary directions for us. Start to work with it with extension, and then later on we start to work with the momentum of the bokken. Really becomes much more important. Just play now. Have a weight in front of the body. Play with also in one hand. And the other thing to play with is really mobilizing the whole structure. So especially the arms for us, the shoulders, really keep a sense of them being free and open. So they should never be in a position where you're kind of locked up. So just watch out for the structure becoming kind of bracing the structure. It's usually a sign that the body's out of balance. So you can also explore this a little bit. If the body's really out of balance, you'll come into these kind of high positions. You'll notice the structure will probably start to lock up in certain places. So the key places for us are really the shoulders and the hips. So really just check them. They should feel mobile, totally free. That's great. That's great. So now, just coming into a kamae position, just coming to get, really let it settle into the body, and just play now with raising the feet and taking a step. So just take a step, and you take it in any direction. You come into kamae, nice and balanced. Just take one step. Settle, step. And just feel the whole structure's going as one thing, and just really notice this quality as you shift the weight through the feet. And especially now in the shoulders and the hips, really try and keep everything nice and mobile. You want to go from a really settled position straight into movement. Straight into movement. As you kind of comfortable with it, just start to work with a little bit of rotation as well. Great, we'll just take it into the first saburi. Really focusing on the footwork. So get the sense again of the weight in the feet, and then you release through the front foot, and then into the cut. Just take it nice and light. Really try and include the upper body with the feeling, but really focusing on the footwork, releasing the cut from the ground, and settling into the ground. Really exploring that shift to the back leg, all the weight in the back leg, and then shifting into the 50-50. Okay, and just use this as an exercise. So really get the feeling here, you've got the bokken out in the front. The key thing here is not to go with the arms first. So play with this so that you've got the feeling, you know what really to look for. So if I go with the arms, you'll feel the whole structure will start to kind of topple over to the front. And then I end up with the structure basically rocking back and forward. So try and get the sense that as you want to raise the bokken here, do it by sinking the body down. So even though the structure's raising here, the feeling's really sinking into the ground. So get this feeling here, you release, the impulse comes from the feet, but the feeling's really sinking down into that back leg. And then you take that and you bring it forward. So you've got the back, the sword's raising, but the feeling's really sinking. And then bringing it down. And again, just play with it a little bit. It's not really about doing the form, it's about trying to find this feeling where the impulse is really taken for the movement from the ground, straight from the ground. And you want it directly to go to the hands. So the raise and the sinking is really coming together. But just play a little bit, break the form down a little bit. So. Good. Okay, now shift the focus into the arms, the shoulders, and the hands. So really get a sense you're in this position. Let everything mobilize. So the hand's going to open, the elbow's going to slightly bend, the shoulder's really going to open to the back. And then from here, keeping that mobility and then closing into the grip. But really keep a sense now you've got the impulse from the ground, mobilize the whole structure of the arm. So these two key points when you begin it, really keep that mobility there. And then when you come down into it, really let the structure of the arm just swing through and catch the sword. Just watch now for adding tension through the shoulders. So really check the shoulders. At this point, they should be really free and open. Really allow the shoulders to keep that open quality across the sides of the body. You're really using this idea of finding the back to open. One, to open the grip, and two, to really open the structure of the shoulders. And keep it as you go through. Again, just play with the cuts a little bit. Give it a few options, kind of cut through, just release through. You can also just swing through. Again, the key thing is maintaining that mobility through the structure as you start the movement, and especially now as you finish it with the focus. Nice. Great, we'll play with Zengo Giri. Just play it a little bit, open the form up. You don't necessarily have to always go kind of front and back. But again, these forms, Zengo, Shiho, Happo, they're really about mobilizing the whole structure. So just play a little bit with them. Again, keep the feeling that the feet are really releasing the sword. So the sword's released from the ground. And just play that you can really open the form out. So you've got a bit more like the cut that we do in Happo and Shiho. Just play the whole structure going straight into movement. A really clear contrast between the stillness in the grounding through the focus and the movement. Straight into movement. Okay, keep the same feeling. Really, in this case, again, keep the mobility in the hips. So, especially when you make the rotations, keep the hips always active through the cut. So, let the hips really stay mobile. The tendencies kind of get the rotation, now the hips stick, and then the sword cut kind of comes in and the hips stay mobile. So, again, keep the sensation that the whole body's going into motion. If you think this is classically based, really like Shihon, so if you think about cutting through and really mobilizing from the hip, rather than just kind of cutting through, hips stay and then the hands go. So really focus here, keeping the hips mobile. What you can also play in this case is taking a step through from the back leg. So just play here, opening the form out a little bit. It's not so much about cutting from the back, but really mobilizing everything. The whole structure goes together this way. So just play a little bit with the footwork. You can step with it. Step back with it also. Yeah, great. Great. Okay, great. We'll go into number 5, but just start with the nice clear basics. So really working the line, really focusing on mobilizing the structure. So the hips, the shoulders, everything just goes into movement and stays open throughout it. Play with left side, right side. Straight down the line, really allow the hips to start to open out. Open out. Okay, we just play a little bit here with the Saburi. The main problem here is this idea that the body gets pulled in and then kind of settles back down. So there's a tendency as you cut forward, start to kind of settle the body back. This is, again, it's an issue of balance. If I throw the weapon out to the front, the body's going to naturally resettle back down. But again, just play the Saburi a little bit, break it down. What you want is the whole body goes forward, totally forward. So the key again is the ground, the back and the ground. So feel that the back of the body is really pressing the structure in, so that you don't have this rock back, which is easier obviously when you don't have the focus in the sword. So just play with it, so you can get the whole structure goes in, and there's no sense of kind of where the body kind of rejects the movement a little bit. The whole structure goes in focus. So you're really focused on delivering the whole weight of the body through the cut. And if you go to Taijutsu movements, you want the same kind of quality, the whole structure going forward. You don't have some of the structure kind of pulling back. Do it. There we go. Good. Okay, good. We'll just play with one motion here. We'll mix up the footwork with it. The first one is just rolling back and finding this position with the hands. So you're coming up into a blocking position. Swords at a slight angle, and then letting the whole body come through, finding the curve here. Starting on the right side, rolling back, raising the sword, and then coming through the whole structure again. And just really keeping this feeling of the whole body mobilizes. Shoulders stay free, but the elbows really sinking down. Again, really using this idea of sinking the structure to raise the sword. And then let the back hip really mobilize through the curve. There. Good. Okay, great. Second one, try from here is you're going to rotate to the backside here. So you're going to spiral over to your left and find the top cutting in. You've got this position straight into it. Now you've got the raise now with a coiling spiral. Coil through the structure. Whoosh. Sit. Good. Okay, the third one to play with here is from this position, let the back hip come in. You're going to turn to your right side. So big rotation again, finding the top and then cutting in with the body. So nice big spiraling entry move now. There. Really keeping a sense of the ground, but now the whole structure needs to really mobilize through that movement. Especially now the hips. To be nice and flexible. You want the spine to really transmit to the shoulders and into the sword. There. Okay. Okay, good. And now just really play with making it supple. So keep those 3 movements. You've got rolling back, you've got rolling to the side, and you've got stepping in to the back this way. And now just really try and keep that form as it is. So release it. Really start to bring it together now. Releasing that. Just try and feel again the whole hip work stays supple all the time. So. Just explore these movements. You've got backwards and 2 kinds of rotations. Yeah, good. Very good. Yeah. Okay, good. Just the last minute here, just playing with the cut. Again, you've got the happo, giri kind of movements with the rotation. Also bring in these kind of movements just to open it out. Again, just working with nice clean cuts. And really focusing on the structure, staying nice and mobile. Again, especially hips, shoulders. Just want to feel the whole body's being released. The sword's being released from the ground. Just play a little bit. Okie dokie. Okay, we'll take a quick break. We will continue a little bit. Okay. Hi. どうもありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございます。ありがとうございました。
Great. Okay, we'll start just after 10 or so.